gotta just know the word, be clear about that, but then also the prayer time. I would suggest, if you don't do this already, maybe sometime if somebody shares with you on a Sunday morning. You know, boy, I'm really struggling with, why just go away saying, well, I'll pray for you? Why not pray for them right then? Okay? Sometimes we feel a little awkward, you know? And sometimes, and it doesn't have to be a big, long thing, but just, may I pray for you now? And just hold the hand and pray for them, and they know you're going to pray when you're apart as well. So, I mean, to be a church of prayer, why not? That's who we are as leaders. So, I think this is a great thing. Okay, we're going to take a little break here and get another donut or coffee in just a minute, but I want to review a couple of things so we don't forget everything from the past, all right? 2 weeks ago, we talked about the Reformation and Restoration movements. What do you remember from the Reformation movement, and how does it differ from the Restoration movement? Anybody?
Martin Luther was a big activist in that, trying to reform the Catholic Church.
Right.
To reform their methodology, their
Okay.
teaching. Then we're in a restoration to restore what's already written and live by the Bible, by the
Okay.
New Testament.
All right. Anybody else? Add to that?
Reformation was European
Yep.
based, Restoration was after the country here in America, so the freedoms we had here allowed for the Restoration movement ideas to join together and
Right.
cross across states and
So Reformation, Europe, by and large, as a reaction to the Catholic Church and the dominance of teaching and everything else, Martin Luther being a priest that then wanted to reform the church. They didn't want it, so he got kicked out. And a lot of them followed suit that were denominationally. And then the Restoration over here in America, with the freedoms of the new country, why in the world do we want the entanglements of the denominational kind of thing? And so there's the differences, basically. All right? I don't care if you remember names. I don't care if you remember the history. But that just kind of gives people a ballpark where you can kind of help them to understand who we are and how it got going. Anybody to add to that? I think that's okay. We took a whole Saturday to talk about that, and we just did it in 2 minutes. All right. Next Saturday, last Saturday, what did we talk about? We talked about the creeds. What do you remember from that we can use going forward? There's no creed but the Bible is one of the slogans. Okay, we just want to use the Bible. But what was that about? Anybody want to speak to that?
the history of how the denominations have added requirements to membership outside of the Bible, and some were 32 pages, some were 100 and some pages, and some would have to be signed in order to be baptized in the church, and it could only be done by the minister ordained by that denominational council, and none of which is in the Bible.
Right. Okay. So the creeds, actually the intent of a creed was good. Like a lot of things, okay? The intent was, there a segment of people going off here, they do not believe in the deity of Christ anymore. Let's make sure that we do. And we're going to put down what we believe about. And they would do that in order to just clarify. But then those became things that you would adopt, have to sign, and so much so that even today, the Presbyterian preacher I told you about would not let somebody else do the baptizing because you had to be an ordained Presbyterian minister before it counted. And so that was according to their laws now. So creeds have a way of expanding. Yes?
It's just interesting that man insists on limiting God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, he's made it so simple in so many ways, and yet man thinks he needs to make it better.
Okay. To limit God is one thing, all right? And we should not, our God is an awesome, He is beyond our comprehension. So why in the world would we want to try to put a box for Him to be in? And then the other way around as well. If God said it, why do we want to mess with it? We ought to take it the way it is. And so, and I agree with you, as far as the simplistic part of it, I don't care where you live in the world. The important things are the basic things. The basic things a person can understand no matter what their country, no matter what their IQ. And those are the most important things. God's created us in His image. We've sinned. We've fallen out. We need restored back to. That's why Jesus, the basic things. That's the most simplistic are the most important things. Yeah. All right, anybody else on last week with the creeds? Okay. And then this week. Last week, we are not the only Christians. We just want to be Christians only, not the Christian plus the rest of the stuff. No creed but Christ, no book but the Bible. And where the Bible speaks, we will speak. We need to speak. But where the Bible is silent, let's just make sure people know it's my opinion now. All right? And opinions are like noses. Everybody has one, right? So let's just not get too caught up on the opinions. And that's kind of what we're going to be talking about some today. Is it okay to say, I don't know? Sure it is. I think you gain credibility by saying, you know, the Bible doesn't speak to that. I don't know. All right? And it's okay to go there. It allows that opinion realm that we need to. And then the last part is that still the three original goals of truth, unity, for the sake of evangelism. All right? We base what we know on the Word of God, truth. If we are agreed on the Word of God, now we have a basis for unity. With that unity, now we can go out and win the world for Christ. That was the intent of the Restoration movement back in the 1800s. All right, so that's kind of where it is.